a boba cafe?
And you actually think that, oh wow, they got it wrong.
What is that,
I
Chinese?
definitely thought so.
Not Chinese.
Wait, I would said we're not cops, and I said it in Chinese. I feel so much shame.
I feel so much.
Okay. Come to the back.
VP backroom situation. This kind of hustle.
Okay. What do you need? I got everything. American shield, Thor hammer, Avengers t-shirt.
This says Avenger.
The Hulk is purple.
Oh my god.
Thor's redhead.
My
I
favorite
love-
part was when she spoke Chinese to him, and he's like, "Is that Chinese? I'm not Chinese." Because I kind of like had this thing when I first moved into the United States, and I was like, I saw this Asian person, and I tried to speak Chinese to him because I wanted to have a sense of belonging, you know. Make him happy.
No.
And he got so offended. He got so pissed.
No.
This was so relatable, and this relates to what we talked about, like literally for episode 4. Like this show is really relatable. It's really real.
It's again, it tells you it's a lawyer show, and then like this is a copyright episode. This whole episode is about Titania suing SHEHulk for the name SHEHulk, and like literally at the beginning of the episode when they go to find the superhero costumer, they're like, yeah, you got to buy this bootleg stuff. It's like the Avengers, it's like the AOVONGERS or something like that. And it's like or Avengers with an I, and like the Hulk is purple, and it's just like, yeah, it's copyright. They don't want to get sued, so they're making the bootleg clothes. And it's like it's things like that. It's things like that that make the show. It's just complete. It's just a complete show. Also, these side characters are hilarious. There's every side character you've been introduced to has been meaningful in some way, but also like kind of silly in their own way. Even this is a show about lawyers talking about crime and prosecution, but like everything is like a joke. Everything is a joke layered, and it's I don't know.
That's how they kept everyone relevant too, because like you keep
Yes.
seeing the boss again. You saw
Yes.
this lawyer who had her as a witness in like the early episodes. And I told you before, like I don't know if like he's really funny, but I don't know if it's because he's a horrible actor or he's purposely giving me this goofy vibe while acting. So
Oh
I'm
no,
not, I'm not buying his acting, but like he's really funny, so it's working.
he's killing it. Yeah, I think every single character in the show is definitely, or every single character they've used in the show, they've used intentionally, and they intend to reuse at some point. They're all relevant. They all have a relevant part to play in this story. And again, that's kind of what makes me think this is kind of like a recount of the story. They're not really including any like frivolous side characters or one-offs, with the exception of like the elf, the doppelganger, as far as we know. So in that spirit, we've reintroduced Titania, who we introduced at the beginning of the episode, the first episode, and I was kind of certain that she was not going to be a reoccurring character. I thought maybe they would just pop her in once or have her like be something they place on like a billboard, but no, she's the whole part of this episode, and for sure will be back. Obviously, this isn't over.
I want to talk like quickly about Avenger because it's also again like the idea of how everything is relatable. Because like in my country, when you go to like one of those like suburb stores that are not official, and,
Yeah.
and like instead of Adidas, you have like Abidas or it's like, oh and you always like joke about it. Like if you go to that store, they'll like give you something that's completely fake and it's like so
Yeah.
obvious. And oh my god, it's like so relatable. That's so true.
It's very funny. I mean, the scamming culture, the skimming culture in LA is very real too. You will find vendors for anything, anywhere. All you have to do is look. So it's perfect. Again, I like that they're keeping the show very LA. Like people who are from LA are so very clearly aware that this is LA. Like everything screams Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And the good thing is that since like most of the industry is in LA and all of the history of stuff were filmed in LA, and
Yeah.
you don't feel like it reached the point where it's like, okay, it's overdone or it's like recycled. Because like
Yeah.
what they did in the show was like giving us I don't want to say a unique way of LA, but like an interesting way of showing us LA while keeping everything like fresh and relevant.
I think it's because the show is literally in LA, but it's also from the perspective of people who are from LA.
From
And
LA,
so
yeah.
like it's an LA show. Like it makes it feel that way. It's not New Yorkers in LA like trying to fit in. Like it's a bunch of LA people. How about that the costumer, the superhero costume designer? What
I'm
was
excited
that in
to
the
see it.
box?
Yeah, that was Daredevil.
That was the Daredevil with
Yeah.
crazy long horns. That was weird.
Was it?
Yeah, the horns
it
were
long?
like a little long. That was cool looking though. I was like, all right, I can dig it. I can dig it.
I liked the fashion designer. He was interesting. The character,
Yeah,
the actor and
that
character was
that
really
guy's
nice.
funny.
It's like he wasn't bothersome. Like he was bothersome
Yeah.
in the story, but for us as viewers, you're like, okay, that's like completely true. That's really funny.
I'll be honest, whenever I see like a superhero costume designer, I always harken back to like The Incredibles, like that little lady who does the costumes. She's so impactful. She's like, I don't know if you've seen that character or not, but that is like one of the funniest. That's probably one of the funniest characters in the entire movie. And so it just makes me, it's hard for me not to draw parallels between them.
Yeah, I don't really. She's you're
A lawyer.
she's a lawyer.
A lawyer.
That's so cute. I love that. That's so cute for her. This one. Thank you.
This is a waste of my time and my talents. Please get out.
Okay, but she needs a suit that's gonna fit her both as Jen and as She-Hulk. Something that would require a lot of talent. Can we go ahead and show him? Yeah. All the way down, small.
And this is the first time we see her as like this overarching suit as Jennifer Walters.
No, she always has it on.
That would adapt to both of my bodies.
I mean, come on, have you ever done a Hulk before? This is huge. This is huge.
Tinsley, order extra bolts of the stretch wool. We're going to need a lot of fabric.
He's really good. He was really good.
The her assistants' outfits are always on point. That woman is always dressed up in every episode. Every time I see her, I'm like, she's dripping, bro. She's just always a fashion icon. I
I
appreciate
wanted
that.
to talk about the lawyer. Who
Who?
represented the She-Hulk, and
Oh yes.
were those nipples showing purposeful?
King size bed.
I think they were.
JK.
The what?
The nipples showing.
We'd like to call our witnesses.
On the lawyer?
Yeah, I think it was purposeful.
Maybe. I didn't look.
You didn't notice?
No.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's like, it's me.
Maybe she's just not wearing a bra.
Much. She came across a little tryhard, to be honest. I'm just not about that.
Look, they're clearly showing.
Maybe. Imagine if you're wrinkling the fabric. Definitely not something I noticed.
Oh my god. There you go.
That's hilarious.
I think
She,
that was on purpose because they would keep showing us how beautiful she is and like how impeccable she dresses really nice. But,
Oh.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, someone must have noticed that her nipple. If I noticed, then someone on the staff must have noticed. So it was
Maybe.
definitely on purpose. Yeah.
Maybe. It
Yeah.
might not be something they even noticed.
Really?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. The Bruce, so Bruce at the beginning, in the first episode, Bruce and Jennifer are talking about how he's the genius. He's like, I'm not the only genius in the family. He talks about the cousin Ched. And I was wondering about this character for a while because I was like, why would they even mention that? Like if Bruce says it, then clearly this person's intelligent. But every time we've been introduced to this character, he's an idiot. But like again, it's funny they can just introduce a character like this, mention him once or twice, drop him in here or there, but then he's a funny part of the show. He's not really, he actually doesn't give anything to the show. He just annoys Jennifer. And so I think this is one of the ways they can make her character even that much likable, or that much more likable, is that like, here's a character who can't possibly be liked. And she just can't stand it. I don't know, man. This show's funny. This show's gonna go places.
It's nice how like she really has a lot of struggles because lawyers generally in society aren't that likable as people.
Right.
because like they argue a lot and all of that. And but since her character is like struggling a lot and like she's in depth and she's really trying to make it, just like trying to have a romance life, it's quite interesting how we feel for her and like want her to succeed. And
Yeah.
we are jumping above the obstacle of her being a lawyer, so that's quite interesting.
I wonder if she's so relatable to really younger audiences. I wonder when they were building the demographic or establishing the demographic of who they were marketing the show towards, especially her character. I wonder how low the age group went to. I wonder if she's like relatable to like 13, 15-year-old people, like adult, like people, like girls there especially. Like I wonder, as 30-year-olds, she's relatable to us because like we've all been there. We're living this life. We all have these exact same annoyances, like, or we know people who do. So I'm curious, like, as a demographic, when you're creating these characters, you have to pick your group. You know what I'm saying? Your group, your strength group. I wonder how low the number goes for her. I feel like it can't go that low. I mean, I feel like she's pretty understandable. Like and even if you're not understanding her, she's still funny in her delivery. Like,
Yeah, even like if you're not really into her as a character, the show's like giving good jokes, it's giving
exactly.
good plot. I like the pacing a lot, and me as a person, I'm always quick. You know, I have a lot of stuff to do, so I always enjoy great pacing and fast-paced movies. Obviously, having a slow-paced movies isn't wrong. You can definitely have a movie that's slow-paced, but for me personally, I always enjoy high pace. And
I feel like this is the benefit of having these limited series, is that when you create a TV show and you know it's going to have multiple episodes, your ultimate goal kind of is to build either if you're doing like a sitcom or like a procedural, your job is to get it franchised. Like if you have enough seasons, it's locked in. You get paid for the rest of your life, no matter what. Every time they play an episode, you're getting paid. Like that's the beauty. That's what you want to go for. But to create a show that has 15 plus seasons in mind when you start it is not realistic. So like, and it's also not really narratively a good idea. You don't really have an end on your show. That sounds crazy. Like your characters just keep developing forever and they never really stop. You don't have like an end goal. Not really narratively a hard hitter. But for like 9 episodes, 6 episodes, 5-episode shows, you have a massive responsibility to contain the arc of the story in here. But once you're done, you're done. And so like everything you've given the character, it's that boom, that's it. You can give the audience everything you want to give them, boom, and then it's done. It's a real benefit. I think the writers have
the whole thing, like even though they are squeezing everything in these episodes, you don't feel that it's too much.
I don't feel like it's squeezed.
Everything is so well done and so kept relevant. So you keep seeing every character showing up from time to time to make sure they didn't disappear and to keep them likable and all of that. And you notice that every episode is only around, I don't know, like 27 minutes, 26 minutes.
They're not that long.
They're squeezing a lot and they're doing a great job, man. Like I don't know how they're doing it. That's not easy. That's not easy at all.
I think it's because their goal isn't to create an Avengers level threat by the end of the show. I think their goal is to.
But that's the whole idea about superhero stuff
that
we're talking about the whole time. You don't have to
give me
such a crazy Avengers type superhero
story.
When you give me such an interesting character who's struggling, I mean, that's the basic of screenwriting. Just pick a character, show their struggle, show the conflict, and suddenly you're interested. If you look at all these booms and fights and whatever, I mean, they're good, but they can only take you so far because in the end, they are repetitive. What makes a story specific? It's the characters and their specificity, the specificity of their life. So yeah,
I'm curious how does Marvel follow up to a show like this? What can be something that they can literally do whatever they want to at this point. I mean, they're about to give us What If season 2, so that's gonna be crazy. Quantumania is coming out. Have you seen the trailers for all these other things that have recently dropped? I'm like,
no.
Brother. We got work to do.
There's Werewolf by Night is next month.
What is that?
Is it Werewolf by Night? I forgot the actual name. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Werewolf by Night.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a fictional character in the comics.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, like for SHEHulk specifically, I would say, I mean, so far it's probably the best show from all the series that went on. Some people might say WandaVision or like.
Always.
For me, for me, I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier more than WandaVision and Loki. But that's the whole idea, is that these three are debatable. But when you look at She-Hulk, I mean, it's not. Yes, there will be people who would trash it because of some misogyny or whatever. But
Of course.
from an objectively point of view, if we study everything, I would say She-Hulk was probably even the best Marvel so far. Like, I don't want to jinx it, but it's probably the best Marvel piece of art so far.
I don't know
Without
about
any
I don't
doubt.
know about Marvel piece of art, because there are movies that are incredible, but I think
Like what?
this is
Name me something that was
Black
crazy.
Panther was sensational.
Oh,
Spider-Man
right.
to the Spider-Verse was sensational. Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man Far From Home. Mwah, mwah,
Horrible
exquisite.
acting though.
Oh!
Tom Holland. I'm sorry, man.
You don't like Tom Holland's acting? It's okay.
No.
I've actually heard this critique very, very often. I hear this critique actually very often. And I hear it actually, you know where I hear it from? I hear it from writing tables, and I hear it from other actors themselves.
Yeah.
I don't hear it from people who like design costumes or anything, because they don't really care about that, like set designers, but writers and the actors. I don't even know any producers who complain about it, but like, dude, writers always tell me, they're like, yeah, I like Tom Holland, he's cute or whatever, but like, he doesn't have a lot of depth. And I'm like, he was going, I feel like he was going crazy in Far From Home. I thought he was doing his thing. I feel like that was some of his best acting, and I mean that especially after I watched Uncharted. My goodness gracious, that movie's awful. But
But if She-Hulk ends up being a 10 out of 10, I don't think Black Panther was a 10 out of 10, was it?
really, it was crazy for me. It was a crazy ride for me. That was one of those movies that had me all over the place. That's why I'm crazy about Wakanda Forever. I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I'm just gonna have all the facial expressions possible the entire movie. I'm gonna go crazy.
I personally enjoyed Civil War more than Black Panther.
I really like Civil War,
because Civil War has a more moral debate.
Yes,
And there is no villain, and it's basically the good
Yeah.
guys fighting each other. So
I
that's
like Civil
what makes
War.
it more interesting.
I think Captain America's. It's so interesting that Captain America's movies have, except for the first one. I genuinely cannot stand the first Captain America. It's one of the most boring movies to me. I'm sorry. I
Yeah, it was
cannot
so
stand it.
horrible. Oh my god.
It's so bad. Now Winter Soldier, sick. Civil War, crazy. Like, Captain America movies are kind of cool, like with the exception of the first one. Again, I will never vouch for that movie. I have nothing positive to say about it, except Chris Evans punching the punching bag off the wall was kind of sick. That was kind of cool. I was like, all right, that was kind of cool. But otherwise, like, I don't really go off for him. Yeah, I think movie wise, I have like a lot of movies that I would put above all of the TV shows in general, just because there's so much more effort that goes into them.
Yeah.
And they're just crazy.
And you are watching it in the theater, not on your TV. So
Yeah, not at home and stuff. But as for TV shows, again, What If was.
I haven't watched What If.
I really, really need you to just binge it. It's like 7 episodes and they're 30 minutes. I promise you, when you get done, you're gonna be a different person. You're gonna come back and be like, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about this. In fact, now that it's been a few years since it's already come out and things have already happened in the MCU and film, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, oh wait, they predicted all of this. It's gonna be crazy for you. It's gonna be crazy for you. Yeah.
You want to talk about Cousin Chet and wrap up?
No, that was it. He's stupid. He's stupid. It's just that. Here's another stupid little character they can introduce, but it's gonna make the show that much funnier. Like Donnie Blaze. Like, oh, is that Johnny Blaze? Like Daredevil? No, or not Daredevil, but
Oh yeah, we didn't say.
Ghost Rider.
What do you think Daredevil's role is going to be in She-Hulk?
He's a lawyer.
As a lawyer, he's a lawyer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's a
I'm
lawyer.
expecting this lawyer case where like.
But historically, Matt, what is the character's name? I forget.
Daredevil's character's name.
Wow, I'm blanking. What's happening?
Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock. Thank you. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I blanked on that.
Yeah.
Matt Murdock traditionally only takes like morally justifiable cases. So he's often depicted as a very poor lawyer, because like not poor in ability, but poor in like money.
Money wise,
Because
yeah.
who are the biggest paying clients as a lawyer?
So
Rich
do you
people
think
who are committing
do you
crimes?
think- so we have 3 cases: either Daredevil and She-Hulk go head to head, or Daredevil represents She-Hulk, or She-Hulk represents Daredevil. Which one's more likely?
I don't think She-Hulk will represent Daredevil. I think that is a dynamic that doesn't really need to happen
Yeah.
for anybody. It doesn't really,
Daredevil represents She-Hulk.
that does now see that makes sense again.
Yeah,
If she's already
yeah.
been represented once, so to be represented again. And I think that doesn't matter. Yeah. I think it's more likely that Daredevil will either represent her or that they will go head to head. And I think the reason they would go head to head, narratively, it makes sense. Again, he represents poor but morally right situations. And she is now representing GLKH or XH or whatever it's called. This company's called GLKH, or whatever it's called. And I mean, it's like a high level, very expensive corporation. So like, okay, so who do you think they're gonna put her on the case as? Someone to get one of their clients off, but like again, their client, her lawyer in this last episode, was representing that douche she went on a date with. And it's like, oh yeah, it's the kind of clients they deal with. Okay, so now you have a figure of what kind of clients they deal with. Not morally right people. So if they go head to head, it's going to be her working with somebody she doesn't even agree with, and him being morally right, but still like fighting the good fight, and they have to like work together. And this happens in lawyer shows kind of often, where like the prosecutor and the defense attorney don't necessarily disagree, but their jobs mean they can't work together, but they kind of like break the rules, like bend them, and then justice is met out anyway somehow in the end. Which that's like again, this is happening in How to Get Away with Murder. This happens in Law and Order multiple times. So like this is like a courtroom movie or TV show trope. So I'm curious to see if they play on that or don't.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see like how the dynamic between the two is gonna be. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. It's been a great series so far, and yeah, thank you so much, everyone. We'll see y'all in the next episode. See y'all.